Hey everybody, welcome back to a special episode of the Week in Nintendo podcast. I'm joined today by someone who has never appeared on the pod. Of course, I'm talking about my good friend and GVG co-founder, Ash Paulson. How you doing, Ash?
I'm good. I'm so excited to finally be here. I've been getting so many questions from our viewers like, hey, when's Ash going to be on the win? And finally I'm here. It's happened.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. We've had just about everybody on, save for Derek. Derek's the only one who hasn't been on the show yet.
Okay, not the last one. But then. Okay,
yeah, this week, obviously, we're doing a special episode of The Win because we just finished watching the Mario Kart World Direct, and it was a direct.
It was a thing that happened. It is a 15 minutes that has now come and gone.
Yeah, that's about the long and short of it. So, not a whole lot of new information in this direct. If I had to guess, this exists because Nintendo knows that a lot more people bought Mario Kart 8 than watch directs typically.
Right, and it was definitely, for a direct that was only 15 minutes, they spent a lot of time relitigating stuff that we already knew from the Switch 2 direct recently. So, and of course, but they also know that not everybody's going to go have time to watch 4+ hours of Treehouse live stream. So for those people who didn't watch Treehouse Live or various other videos, a lot of the stuff will have been new for them, even if it wasn't necessarily for us.
Right. This felt like a direct that was targeted more at a much more casual audience.
Yeah.
And I suspect that this exists because Nintendo has the Nintendo Today app, which who knows how many people that's reaching, but it's probably getting to people who aren't even subscribed to Nintendo on YouTube at this point.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually watched the direct in the Nintendo Today app.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, it was a novel thing. I just thought, oh, this is a new way to watch a direct. So I was in bed because it was 6 a.m. And so I decided I would just open up the app on my phone and give that a shot to see what the experience is like. And it was quite nice. It was just like a video that popped up in the app and I could watch it at my own leisure. I had even like a little notification on my home screen that the direct was ready to watch, which was kind of cool.
Nice. I might have to try that eventually. I just did the traditional thing, watched it on YouTube at my computer. We weren't sure until like the last few minutes who was going to be on the live reaction and then who was going to be doing the discussion. So I wasn't really sure which one I was doing. And I figured I'll just be here at my PC regardless.
Right. Yeah. I kind of assumed that we had a full crew for the direct reaction. So I decided I would just kind of have the experience in bed because it was too early.
Yeah.
But we're no stranger to early morning Nintendo Directs. Let's talk about what the content of this direct was, though, because we saw mostly, like you said, things that we've seen before. One of the things that we did see that was new, though, or at least I think everybody assumed it was going to be there, but was new, quote unquote, was battle mode. We got battle mode footage from World.
Yeah, which was I'm not exactly a surprise to see it return. I think I kind of figured it would, but it's nice, of course, always to have confirmation. And we did specifically get confirmation of the return of Balloon Battle and Coin Runners. If other modes are still coming, we don't know about them yet, like Bomb Blitz, I think that's what it's called, or Bomb Blast, I can't remember. But there are other battle modes that have been in previous Mario Karts that were not confirmed here, so whether they're still waiting in the wings or it's just these two, we don't quite know yet.
That's a good point. Just because we've had this Mario Kart World Direct doesn't mean that we know everything there is in the game. Nintendo has shown off quite a bit between Treehouse and the premiere event and now this, but I'm willing to bet that there's more to reveal. I will say this, though. Brandon was speculating that there was some big secret mode that Nintendo hadn't shown off yet, both at the premiere event and, in the run-up to this direct. I don't think that there is like a big single-player thing now that we've seen this much. I think Nintendo would have been foolish to miss an opportunity here to tell us about like a story mode or something.
Yeah, I agree. I know some people were hoping for maybe like a sort of battle royale type mode or a story mode or a mission mode. The last of those seems to kind of sort of getting a return in the form of missions that you can, just find while exploring the open world, but it's not quite the same thing as the Mario Kart DS's mission mode that some people wanted to see return. But yeah, I tend to agree with you. I don't really think there's any big thing they haven't shown us yet. I think there will be secrets, of course, and we don't know yet what the open world collectibles they kind of showed us today do, like the Peach medallions, for example. We don't quite know what those do. We don't know what the P-switches will ultimately lead to, and the power panels or the mystery panels and stuff. So there are still some unknowns, but in terms of big unrevealed gameplay modes, I agree with you. I think we've seen it all, really.
Yeah, there's nothing here that points me to, a gameplay mode being kind of a surprise reveal. I do think, my take on the medallions is that that's likely going to be how we buy costumes. I'm guessing that there's maybe an in-game costume shop of some sort where we can get these. When I played the game in New York, you could go through the drive-thru, and I know they showed this in the direct, but you could get a burger or pancakes or whatever. But I noticed my note was that it gave you costumes you already had. So I played as Daisy, and she would transform into a costume that was already unlocked.
I didn't realize that. I thought the fast food was the main way of unlocking new outfits. I see.
Yeah, I'm not 100%. But I did notice, at least in my experience, because I had some time to just kind of free roam in between races. The benefit of playing a game, when nobody knows how to play, is that it takes a while to load up into a match. And in between matches, you're able to just kind of drive around. And so I intentionally took Daisy through the drive-thru like 5 or 6 times to see what would happen. And she just, she would transform once and then not again after that. So I had like a cowgirl Daisy, and I ate some pancakes, and then she turned into like traditional, Sarasaland Daisy, the one we all know.
Right. Okay.
And then she wouldn't change into anything else after that. And I did the same with multiple characters. Like I would go back and I'd just get to not even flip. I would change into a new outfit, and then that outfit would be the one I'm stuck with for the rest of the game. So I wonder, and as far as I could tell, they were outfits that were already unlocked in the demo build that I was playing.
Okay. Interesting. Then it'll be interesting to see how exactly that works versus whether what you're saying is true, whether there's also a shop where you buy costumes that you can then transform into. We don't quite know the mechanism of that yet, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting that Nintendo has chosen not to reveal that, because I think one of the things that they didn't really communicate very well, even in this direct, is like, I get that the open world is the point.
Right.
But what is the point of just driving around? Like, what do you get? What do you earn from this?
What do you unlock from that? Yeah. Well, one thing I'm speculating myself, and of course, I'm going to go there because I'm like the music guy, but I was noticing throughout the direct that there was music, like brand new rearrangements of themes that don't really have anything to do with any Mario Kart tracks that we know of, like Bob-omb Battlefield. There was the character select theme from Mario 2 in there, which was that was really cool. But where would those go in terms of specific tracks, right? So I'm wondering if maybe one of the things you could buy in this theoretical in-game shop using the rewards you get from the open world is just new music to just jam out to when you're driving around the open world.
One of the things that I've been thinking about, and they've not confirmed, I don't believe, is that there maybe is like an in-game radio, and you can just tune into radio stations that'll, you don't choose what's playing, but that would be really cool. Because one thing I think of is like, the classic American concept of the road trip, like the big American road trip, and you just have this, what do you do on a road trip? You crank up the radio and you just drive. And so I think that could be a really cool way to give you extended tracks, additional arrangements, and give you something to listen to while you and your friends just jet off from one side of the map to the other.
Well, and, that makes me think of Final Fantasy 15 of all games, because there is the road trip element of that game too. And one of the things you could do was both find and buy new classic FF music to listen to while you're driving through that game's world. So maybe there's something similar in play here where you can find new tracks to, for the radio, for them to then play on the radio, or maybe you can unlock tracks or buy tracks to set on your own custom radio station. That's just like a favorites track list. I don't know, but it seems like there's more that we don't know about yet in a way, even if it's not, some last final big new gameplay mode that they haven't shown.
Yeah. And I'm not sure that I need like a big gameplay mode.
Same.
The kind of thrust of this game is that they've eliminated, they've I don't want to say eliminated. They've added connective tissue between the races.
Yeah.
They've given you something beyond just load into track, run around track, load to next track. And I think that that's cool. In practice playing Grand Prix mode, because Brandon and I got to play both Grand Prix mode and Knockout Tour, right? Mm-hmm. Grand Prix mode felt really cool. We didn't get to do a full Grand Prix, so obviously Nintendo is intimating that Rainbow Road seemingly is at the end of every single Grand Prix, possibly.
Yeah.
Which is a cool idea. My thought on that is that maybe you unlock sections of Rainbow Road and then it becomes a way to travel between different areas of the map more quickly.
Oh, I wonder. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, but I don't need a whole lot more than what we've seen. There are questions for sure. I want to know how we get the costumes. I want to know what these challenges and missions and coins are good for. But when I think about just the idea of Mario Kart now being a big open world game, I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, just the concept of that alone has me excited. I mean, I want to know what stuff there is to unlock and hidden secrets to find and stuff. And I'm sure there will all be, there will be little corners of the world that you can unlock through the use of P-switches and stuff you'll just keep finding cool new locations. But I mean, like you said, I'm kind of already sold on just the concept of an open world Mario Kart. They've already got me with just that. And then everything else is just kind of icing on the cake, right? And, we're getting also just cool stuff that we've only seen in, at least in terms of prior Mario Kart games, in Mario Kart Tour, in the stuff, or in the form of costumes. And there's so many fun little costumes. I think some new ones that we saw today in the Direct. My favorite that really stands out in my mind is Ice Cream Toadette. She's adorable, and she's like literally wearing ice cream, and it's so cool. I love it. I'm just looking forward to seeing every last costume. We saw that one little bit in the Direct where they in the open world, they drove up next to a billboard that showed the original 8 from the original Super Mario Kart. And I feel like there's going to be all sorts of cool little Easter eggs like that to find out in the world, right?
Yeah, there's definitely, from what I saw when I drove around in the game a couple weeks ago now, there's a lot of care and love that got put into crafting this world, and the spaces in between are anything but like, I kind of expected, I don't know why I expected this, but I expected it to be very barren, in between, because frankly, like a lesser developer may have done so.
Yeah.
But this is Nintendo we're talking about. I mentioned this on the Win, I think, last week, but one of the things that I really enjoyed was that as I was making my way between these courses, I would see, like I saw a boat and it was a couple toads, and then there was just a Yoshi in the back, like rowing the boat for them while cool. They were having a picnic on a boat. Just cool things like that add a touch of character to this world that makes it feel like you're in a really big interconnected Mario world. And I just think that is a really cool concept that I'm excited to explore, because it's cool to like be driving around and just be like, oh, there's a burger stand off in the distance, or here's some NPCs that are actually doing something that I might want to observe. And of course, going by land or sea is also just an interesting wrinkle to this whole thing. I ended up taking a boat, turning my cart into a boat and going down the river. But there's no right or wrong way to really explore this big open space that they've created.
You just mentioned one of the things I'm most looking forward to about this game, and that is the ocean in the open world, and just the water parts in general, but specifically the ocean, because a lot of people have said, and I'll say it as well, it reminds me so much of Wave Race, and I've wanted a new Wave Race for so long, and it seems like we're kind of sort of getting a version of that, especially given that we know that the fluctuating weather can change the water, can change the, how rough the waves are in the ocean, which is pretty cool. So seems like we're getting a little slice of Wave Race in this too, and I'm really happy about that.
Oh, we definitely are. The water physics, the first thing I called out when I played the game was that the water physics felt extremely reminiscent of Wave Race.
I love that so much.
Yeah, it was really exciting. Brandon and I, obviously, we played shoulder to shoulder, but the way the demo structure was set up was that we weren't playing together until we were paired up in a race. But we were exploring the same area because obviously, as you well know, demos are very controlled, right?
Yes.
But I ended up taking to the water almost immediately, and Brandon ended up driving on land. And so he looked over my shoulder and was like, where'd you find all that water?
Nice.
And I was jumping over waves and doing tricks on them and stuff. So it felt very, very at home if you've played Blue Storm, which obviously I know you have.
Oh, absolutely. I am curious. How did you feel about the HT Rumble compared to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? I'm a big fan of good haptics, like in Astro's Playroom, and they're calling this now HT Rumble 2. And so I'm curious if you felt anything relevant compared to.
So I would say Mario Kart 9 is a lot more subtle in its use of HD Rumble 2 than other games that I played at the premiere. I don't think it was bad by any stretch, but I also didn't find it to be entirely remarkable.
Okay.
And that might be owing to, the environment in which I played it and different ways in which we played it. Cause, like one of the demos was handheld mode. We played handheld mode.
Right.
And I honestly, that was the very first thing I did with the Switch 2. So I wasn't clocking Rumble at the time. And then, we played on Pro Controller, and I think we even played on Joy-Con in the grip. So each time we played, it was like a different control method. But I will say that it just felt very subtle, like not, it felt like it wasn't maybe a main feature of the game. It felt like, it was just kind of there in the background, and maybe that's good for a racing game, so that it doesn't get too distracting. But other games like Drag and Drive definitely had much more impressive implementations of it.
Gotcha. It's funny that we've kind of just segued into talking about more of your hands-on impressions, because that just highlights how little new there was really to talk about from this Direct specifically.
Right. And I was about to segue back to that. The Direct itself was, frankly, like for people who are in the know, people who subscribe to YouTube channels about gaming, people who, watched the Treehouse footage or even just watched the Switch 2 Direct, there wasn't a whole lot to feast on here. It was really just a giant recap of what we already know about the game.
Yeah, exactly. But, that also has its place and serves its own intended purpose, especially, again, as we saw talked about at the beginning of this, for people who don't necessarily tune into all that stuff. This was more for them. And, we're only about a month and a half out from launch anyway now, so it's not as though we have an interminably long time to go to find out the rest of what this game is hiding.
Right. I think this was Nintendo. Well, first off, let's be clear. This was Nintendo's plan from the day of the Direct, and obviously long before that. So it's not like they did this in response to all the current drama that exists. But I think this was a move for Nintendo to resurface Mario Kart in the news cycle, to get people to talk about it again in the lead up to launch. I know that you and I have been in this industry for a long time, and so we've kind of seen the way that PR works, and they will announce something, and then as they get closer, they'll be like, hey, here's another like thing that might not have a whole lot of value to people who cover this professionally, but just to get people talking about it again, right? Exactly. And I think that Nintendo finds themselves in the weird position of not being able to do pre-orders, while these media announcements are happening, because obviously had they been on schedule with their pre-orders, this would have been a great opportunity to drive more of them.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really what the key aim is here. So we just have to wait. There was a rumor that pre-orders will begin in 4 days. I hope that rumor is true. I just want to pre-order my console.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say if I'm looking at this through a lens of positivity, this just underlined for me why I really want to play this game, even if it was stuff I already know.
Same. That's where I'm at too. And it gave me just enough of a tantalizing glimpse of some of the collectibles and mysteries out there to find in the open world that I just know I need more. It's like that GIF, let me in. I can't wait to play this game, man.
Yeah, I can't wait to play it either. I do want to at least counterbalance my positivity somewhat though, and just say that if you came in and you didn't really, I don't know that a direct was maybe the best name for this. It could have. I think it would have gone over a lot a lot better as like a Mario Kart Tour deep dive video or something,
expanded look, I think, or something.
Exactly. When you put the name direct on it, you're going to put expectations on it. Yeah. And I think those expectations weren't met today.
I agree. Yeah. I think it's in terms of both the good and the bad, the positive and the negative, it sounds like you and I are landing pretty much right in the exact same place. And I agree with everything you just said about the negative side of it as well.
Yep. But, a disappointing direct doesn't mean the game itself is in any way disappointing. Mario Kart World still looks amazing. Can't wait to play it. Gonna pick it up. We're running a survey right now, and not to spoil it, but just about everybody is picking up Mario Kart World.
Let me pre-order it, please. Now. I need it.
Yeah, exactly, Nintendo. Just let us know when we can do that. I know it's not your fault, but I really want to know when we can do it.
Yep.
But I think that's it. I think there's no more blood to get from the proverbial turnip here.
No, I think, one more thing I'll point out is I'm surprised in hindsight that an ice flower item didn't happen sooner. That seems like such an obvious thing for them to have added a long time ago. And now here it is. And I think that's really cool.
The one thing that I'm surprised that they either, and it's potentially still there, but I don't think it is. The one thing I'm surprised is that, and I love the ice flower power up, to be clear. I've used it.
Yeah.
I didn't even think to mention it just because it does feel like it should have been there a long time ago. I'm surprised that we didn't get Wonder Flowers, because the talking flowers from Wonder are all over the place.
Yeah. That or Bubble Flower, or Bubble Mario, or a Bubble style power up. That kind of surprises me too. But
I'm still holding out hope we get Elephant Mario as a racer at least.
There were Nintendo. So many pages of characters they didn't even go into, so I feel like the possibility is really there.
Yeah, I want it so bad. I hope that we get like Wonder-styled versions of the racers that are just a little off-kiltery the way they are.
That'd be cool. Yeah,
Mario Wonder. But anyway, that's it. Yeah. A 15-minute direct. We got more than 15 minutes out of it. What more do you want? Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned to GVG for all things Switch 2. If you haven't checked our video feed lately, there's a ton for you to watch. If you'd like to support us, you can head over to patreon.com/gvgaming to find out how to get involved. For as little as $5 a month, you can get each and every episode of The Week in Nintendo early, or you can watch it here on YouTube, or listen to it on any podcast service of your choice. That's it. Switch 2 is coming soon. There's a lot more from us. Thank you, Ash, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you all next time. Until then, bye, everyone.
Bye.